to get us to see or to know the self. A lot of us call the self God. But that's because we don't, it is amazing, we recognize that there's something there, but we don't realize that it's everywhere and inside. And in fact, that's who we are. So this morning, I took my dogs to 2 soccer fields and for a walk. And I walked the left and came back running across the soccer field with the dogs, got back to the car and realized I'd lost my keys. They must have fallen out somewhere in those 2 soccer fields because I've been running. So I set off down the side of the soccer field where it was in the shade where I'd walk the dogs. And I didn't see it there. Then I started to go across, thinking the direction that I'd taken catty corner across the soccer fields. I looked all over. There, it was not there. They were not there. So I got back to my car, and then I thought, well, I've got to try again. So, but I was praying. And I went back again, and we crossed the soccer field again. And again, they were not found. So then I went back the other way, crossing back that way. And I got to the end, and I was gonna give up. I was gonna just come back and find some way to get someone to take me the dogs back home, which is 10 minutes away, and then have to order a new set of keys. And I was focused on the ground, looking on the ground. And at one point in time, when I reached the furthest end of the soccer field and was coming back for the last time along the side, my awareness shifted very, very gently and slowly upwards. So I was focused like this, and then all of a sudden, I started to focus. My awareness started to go upwards. And as it did, I saw the keys sitting on a stadium bench, at the very end of the stadium bench. And I was happy for that. But the reason for this, to make this a point, is that it gave me a sense of what God was. And that it wasn't distant from me at all. And that it was in the consciousness. And that the consciousness was directing the show. It was coming from there, not from my mind. There was no thought in the mind. But there was just simply, I had to stop right where it was, and I had to look over there, eyes floating up, as it were. I can remember what I went through. I just sort of slowly looked up. And then I saw them. But it gave me a sense of what God was, in the profoundest sense of the word. And I had previously said, I can't miss Satsang today. How could that happen? I mean, how could I miss Satsang? That is something that God never allows, that I would miss it. And it was looking like I was going to miss it. And but this was so amazing. We had walked the length of 6 soccer fields altogether, and I was very tired. I wasn't the dogs were tired, and they were off. But I stopped and gave them some drink and stuff from the fountain. Anyway, it's a good lead-in to what Rupert's going to talk about for about 26 minutes, and I'm going to play it right away. I played some Eckhart Tolle videos ahead of this one, but I couldn't find anything that it was so elementary in a way. Like what he was talking about was very much how to deal with, situations and people and all of this. And that to me was like elementary. But now Rupert here was really going into the very nitty-gritty of what we're looking for. And he does it without mentioning God, without mentioning spirituality, but just simply how he got to see what the reality was. And today was very powerful for me, by the way, that even though it doesn't sound like much, that glancing up like that, at the right moment, was very much about awareness and the potency of awareness. The fact that it would do that. And how is it that, so we pray, we ask this awareness to find it, so it listens. And it says, okay, but I admit I was like, well, this is the last, I'm right at the edge, I have to find somebody and get us home. And, but it's powerful, it's especially powerful for me to see that, how awareness operates. And that anything we think is insurmountable. See, I had to get to the very point of getting to the point of it being insurmountable before the self comes in. It wants to get your attention. It wants you to see that there's something more here that's going on. But we don't listen unless it's really ding, unless we've had it up to here, like, what am I going to do? But it's not insurmountable. So that means that we can just relax pretty much through everything. Granted, as I was going through this, I was going, now you know how the self works. I was saying to myself, you know how it works. Just relax. You're gonna find them. Not quite as easy as that. Not quite as easy as that, because I've been up and down. So it's like someone's taken them or something. I don't know what happens. The one thing I didn't think of was that somebody would have picked them up and put them someplace on a bench for me to see. So Rupert describes this awareness in the most beautiful and pithy way, to the very nitty-gritty. And he's talking to people in Berkeley, California, the university there. And he's explaining it in a beautiful way. It's what's wonderful about him is he's really smart and clear, and he's also enlightened. He also got it. It took 20 years for him to get it, though, barking up different trees. Where finally, what he got was kind of on the order of what he's explaining.
we normally think.
Oh no.
The body-mind is experienced. It doesn't experience. Just check that out for yourself. All we know of the body-mind are a series of thoughts, feelings, images, sensations and perceptions. Just take each of these in turn. Can a thought experience? For instance, is a thought hearing the sound of my voice or seeing the sight of this room? Obviously not. A thought is experienced. It doesn't do the experiencing. What about an image? Take an image, the image of a friend or your home. Does that image do the experiencing? Can an image know a thought? An image is known. It doesn't do the knowing. Take a feeling, whatever feeling you are presently having. Is that feeling experienced? Or does it do the experiencing? And what about a sensation? Go to the tingling sensation of your hands, for instance. Or the tingling sensation behind your eyes. Can that sensation experience a thought? Can it hear the sound of this voice? Obviously not. The sensation cannot experience. It is experienced. And likewise a perception. So what is it that does the experiencing, that does the knowing of experience? Nothing that is experienced can do the experiencing. The body and the mind, that is the current flow of thoughts, images, feelings, sensations. These are all experienced. By what? Don't say I don't know. It is obviously you that is experiencing whatever it is that is being experienced now, your current thought, feeling, image, sensation, and perception. Whatever it is that is knowing or aware of or experiencing, all of that is what each of us calls I. What does this I refer to? Don't say, I don't know. You have been I all your life. You have never ceased being I. Everything that you have been aware of has disappeared. But the I that is aware of it has not disappeared. It has remained with you all your life. You know it more intimately than you know any other thing. Even your most intimate thoughts and feelings are like strangers compared to the intimacy of I. What is that? Don't go looking for it with your mind. This I is too close to itself to be known as an object. I cannot turn its attention towards itself. It is too close to itself to know itself in subject-object relationship. If I were to ask you now, stand up and take a step towards yourself, where would you go? You're too close to yourself to be able to take a step towards yourself. You can only take a step, apparently, towards something that is other than yourself. But even if you were to take a step towards something that is other than yourself, you would still remain at no distance from yourself. Please don't think that I'm talking about some extraordinary consciousness that I have some special access to. That you are not familiar with, or that you might come to know if you attend enough non-dual meetings or meditate for long enough. I'm simply talking about the very knowing with which each of us is now knowing their experience. Whatever it is that knows our experience never appears as an experience. And for that reason, most people think that it is absent and that it has to be sought or cultivated. It's like a character in a movie, observing that the screen never shows up in the movie, and therefore presumes that the screen is non-existent. To look for that which is aware of our experience as an experience in the body-mind. is like a character in a movie travelling the world in search of the screen. To believe that consciousness or awareness is located in and shares the limits of the body is like believing that the earth is flat or that the sun travels around the earth. To begin with, as we walk around the streets, it does seem as if the earth is more or less flat. As we observe the sun apparently rising and setting, it does appear that the sun revolves around the earth. But with a little bit of investigation, both these beliefs obviously turn out to be untrue. To begin with, it does seem as if consciousness is located in the body. But with a little bit of investigation, it turns out to be obviously untrue. All we know of the body is a flow of sensations and perceptions. Where do your sensations and perceptions appear? Sensations and perceptions are continuously appearing and disappearing. No sensation or perception lasts long. Anything that appears must appear on something or in something. You can't have the words of a novel without a page. You can't have an email without a screen. You can't have a sensation or a perception without what? Moreover, it is not possible to read the words of a novel without seeing the page. We may not notice the page, but we are still seeing it. It is not possible to read an email without seeing the screen. Due to the exclusive focus of our attention on the content of the email, we may not notice the screen, but we are still experiencing it. Due to the fascination with the objects of our experience, thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions, we may not notice that in which they appear and with which they are known. But we are, by definition, experiencing it. can I say? We are experiencing it. Who would the we be? Who is the one that could be aware of the presence of awareness? Each of us is now having the experience, I am aware. Or each of us is now having the experience of being aware, irrespective of what we are aware of. We are each having the experience of being aware. What is it that has the experience of being aware? What is it that is aware that we are aware? Obviously, awareness itself. Awareness is primary experience. Before it is aware of a mind, a body, or a world, is to be aware of itself. And awareness is knowing of its own being. Shines in the mind as the knowledge I am, or I am aware. Awareness doesn't need, we'll come to questions in a minute. Awareness doesn't need the help of the mind in order to know itself. It knows itself by itself, in itself, as itself. It needs the help of the mind if it wants to know the world. In order to know the world, it rises in the form of the mind. But in order to know itself, it needs nothing. It just knows itself by being itself. I'm talking about you, I. The very knowing with which each of us is now comes down. Nothing will happen to the space. It won't suddenly reunite with the rest of the space in the universe. Walls of this room just give the space a temporary name and form. But the space itself never acquires the limits of that name and form. It always remains the same infinite, empty stuff. Likewise, consciousness never acquires the name or the form of the body in which it seems to be located. Just as this room is in fact located in space, this space is not located in the room. So the body-mind is located in consciousness. Consciousness is not located in the body-mind. The very knowing with which each of us is now knowing their experience.
Wow.
Not some extraordinary, mystical, cosmic consciousness, but just the very ordinary awareness with which you and I are now knowing our experience, doesn't share the limits or the destiny of the body. It is infinite and eternal. That is unlimited and ever-present. The body and the mind come and go in it. It doesn't come and go in the body-mind. Don't try to think of consciousness. It's not possible to think of consciousness. If you think that you're thinking of consciousness, you have mistaken consciousness for an object. It is only possible to think of something with objective qualities. If we really try to think of consciousness, thought comes to an end. That's why the Shankaracharya said, real thinkers don't think. Real thinkers, by which he meant people who use thought to explore the reality of their experience. People who take thought all the way to the heart of experience, the reality of experience, will inevitably, at some point, bring thought to an end. Thought will dissolve in its source, pure consciousness. That is why in this approach we don't discipline our thoughts. We don't try to stop thinking. We don't try to focus our thoughts on an object or a mantra or anything like that. Thought is given complete freedom to do whatever it wants. Sooner or later, if thought really falls in love with the reality of its experience, if it begins to investigate the nature of experience, it will, in time, bring itself to an end. Why are you so afraid of the fear? If we want to live without fear,
What did you think of this? What did you think of this? Stella, what did you think? Don't understand it?
No, I didn't.
It's right.
I didn't like his. He was spooky to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he repeated himself.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's like you had to stop. Let's see.
That silence, they're like, come on, come on.
You're way ahead.
How would you find consciousness? I mean, I kept repeating that, it's not the ones like
It's your awareness. It's your awareness. You know how you're aware of everything? It's so self-evident. It's so self-evident that you are awareness. That you're aware of me, you're aware of yourself, you're aware of your body, you're aware of everything around in the room, you're aware. The only difference is the awareness doesn't belong to you, your body, you. It's everywhere. It's not contained in the body as you. It's actually without boundaries. We think we are the ones that are aware, but actually this we is actually the awareness itself. This is so easy. When he gave the metaphors of the space and the room, so the space in the room, right? And then, but the space is just, it's everywhere. So oh dear, I can't see how.
I was reading that space is so vast that the sun never rises or sets. It's always there, and because of the vastness of space, our world is so small that everything around it, there's no rising, setting of the sun.
Space, there's infinite space.
So is awareness and consciousness and same as
Yes. Yes. And, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't, I mean, I totally understand what he's saying and I can't put it in words. But the bottom line is, the bottom line is, in my estimation, is that we're so focused on objects that we don't recognize the background.
Said that if you're looking at you notice the screen, you notice the background, you can't have it.
But you're more focused on the picture shown on the screen, or the message of the email on the screen. You don't really pay attention to the page or the screen behind it, but it's there. But that's the bottom line of this, is that we're so focused, we're so mesmerized by the objects that we miss the background. The background is awareness, the I amness, the awareness. So this morning, when I actually saw awareness, knowledge coming from awareness, without thought, in other words, as my awareness just kind of moved by itself and saw keys. What that was saying was that there is a vast awareness that is intelligent, big time, and knows and can find, without thought. It was pushing me to see beyond the thought. So I'm scanning the earth, I'm trying to find a way with my mind, I'm thinking what I should do to find these keys. But then what happened was, it was totally outside of thought that produced the keys. My awareness shifted. I didn't have control of that. It just went by itself. It just went by itself, the awareness. So the screen on which all of this play is going on, we don't look at it. We don't pay attention to it. This morning I paid attention big time because even in action I could see this awareness playing out something that was beyond me, beyond where I normally come from, you know. Okay, where are the keys? Looking with my eyes, asking people, have you seen my keys? You know, with the mind. And the awareness behind there was more intelligent. It stopped me. I wasn't aware of, you know, all these mechanical things that are going on, like the blood coursing through your veins and the body breathing without you having to be doing it. It just does it by itself. All of these is happening within awareness. The intelligence is driving this show. Really what it is we're too focused on the form, on objects. Too focused on objects. I'm sorry you didn't get that. I get surprised. But that's so succinctly put. Pointing to the awareness as being not contained just in your body, and you think that's it, but contained everywhere. Like this, for example, the space in this room is everywhere. I mean, it's the borders that's seen here. If you were to just take them away, that nothing would change the space in this room. It would still be there. It's part of the infinite space.
When you take down the walls, and
It
the
took-
space is still-
It's still here. It's not, see it. It's not. Because the space permeates all. It's not limited by boundary.
It's very profound.
It
It's
is.
hard to grasp.
But it's simple, very, very simple terms, very pragmatic terms in a way. Our vision is so automatically placed on form. Huh?
So limited.
And we don't see the forest for the trees. We're looking at the trees, but we don't see the forest. I mean, the whole picture, the picture or the screen or the blank or the page. We're focused on the writing on the page, but we don't really pay attention to the I amness or the fact that we're aware and that I amness is extremely powerful. Graphically demonstrated by your experience yesterday, Stella, where you were driven in a way, just like I was driven in a way, to be intense, looking for a way out. And then it's almost like the intelligence says, okay, now you're ready to listen to me? Are you now ready to look and see? Because otherwise we're not going to look and see. We're going to pray, we're going to do stuff to make it happen like that. But the point is when you get intense, then the universe, then the reality opens up for you. Here I am. And it's almost as if you have to go through the experience of getting bagged in order to feel and see and notice me. Most of the time we don't notice the page. We don't notice it. We're so focused on here and now, people and things and dogs and whatever, whatnot. But when intensity seems to come in, then we go, oh, and then there was God and it helped me out. Thank you very much. But the whole point of it really was is to get you to be aware of awareness. Aware of intelligence with a capital I. Because I couldn't have seen, I was focused on the ground, on the form. And the awareness almost took my consciousness. It always felt like it took my consciousness and lifted it up and put it there.
Yeah, we all have those experiences.
Yes. Kind of infrequent, but if we have enough suffering, I mean, Rupert suffered. Everybody that's ever gotten free has had to go through the path of some kind of suffering in order to be interested enough to go and find out who they really are, that who they think they are is much vaster. Much vaster. And when you come from that perspective of vastness, when you have had, as Rama once said, enough of a track record with God, then you begin to think, well, what is this? I mean, most of the time we just say, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. But we never really investigate God. What is really going on here? Where is this God? Where is it? Who is it? It's the awareness itself, which is miraculous. I mean, who am I to say? I mean, it's an amazing phenomenon that we are that awareness that has limitless power, but we limit ourselves by just focusing like a horse with blinkers on. So that's what I really want to, something tangible like that to go away with. And the emphasis really is that we're focused on the words on the page and don't see that the page is right there in front of your eyes. That God is right there. Or that not God is a separate thing, but the awareness. The awareness. The awareness is where this amazing knowledge comes from. It's actually coming from, would I have found those keys if I hadn't looked up? What made me look up? And again we go back to that sense of, well, it's me. It's me, but who's me? Why do we insist on crowding consciousness into a limited space? How could consciousness be limited in a body-mind? Why should the body have more reality than the formless consciousness that permeates everything? Why are we so, that's the point of this whole thing. We're focused too much on the words on the page. Huh?
On the mundane.
Well, we don't have to call it that. No, honey, we don't have to call it that. Because there's beautiful things too, in the world. There's forms, there's dogs and cats. Wonderful creatures that we love. But behind that, we're not trained to look beyond. And we're not spending enough energy finding out what is beyond. And the reason we don't pay enough attention is because unless we're forced, that's my experience. My experience is that I'm forced or shoved or pushed to come to the realization that there's something more here than meets the eye. And then when we get to the point of having that be more real, he said something at the end there that I really want to recapture. When we become more in love with that, then it will become more available, like, because we be more, how do we say, aware of it, or more aware of the awareness behind everything. So, thank your lucky stars if you go through stuff. Because in my estimation, that's what's needed to bring that awareness into focus. The fact that we're limitless and very powerful, much more powerful than we think we are. So if we are the awareness, everything is all right. And everything is always ever all right, because it takes care of everything.
Can we do that phrase that they use in AA, let go and let God?
Yes,
That's
that's
so,
you
could really let go, then you can work that way.
so that's a pathway, definitely. Surrender, let it go, let it be. That was my path. That was my path. But as I'm listening to him now, after years, I'm listening to him now about absolutely. And of course, the experience this morning dovetails into this. The awareness is most powerful, but we're not aware of awareness. We automatically go up to the forms. We're not understanding what we are, and that what we are is very, very amazing. I'm amazing grace. Amazing grace. There is grace for us to see that. That's been my experience. If it wasn't for that, and for all the experiences that I was given, to break down that fixation with the form, to break it down. You've got to break it down, otherwise you can't really apprehend better, because it's within the formless sheet of paper, or the formless screen, the screen behind all of the action, so-called action. So anyway, I hope I have better elucidated what Rupert said. Have I? So, but when you tell me you experience, not experience, but you just say, I am, and that gives you comfort, it removes doubt, gives you power and strength, what are you actually referring to?
That's what it's just like,
Being.
yeah, it's just, there's nothing out there that interferes with the feeling. I am love.
With I am love, there's nothing out there that interferes with that.
No,
That-
it gets you to awareness, but what I try to witness there is beyond where I'm at. I mean,
So when you say I am love, that is really the basis of reality, which we find out once it clears. When the fog is cleared, that's the basis. The basis. However, he's trying to tell people in a not, not so, doesn't want to use the word love, but it's definitely there. And the way he is, he strikes me as a very, very soft and gentle being. The I amness does absolutely reflect what he's talking about. The I am awareness is the same thing. I am awareness. And what he's saying is, it's not that you and your particular awareness, but that awareness is everywhere. It's not particular to a body. That's clear. That it's not particular to a body, that this awareness flows through everything.
You explain it much better than he is.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good enough.
That's
That's good enough, as long as we hit the mark.
Mhm.
You know, because I see it very clearly that,
I just didn't like him.
oh, you didn't like
I
it?
just didn't.
Oh,
I could have walked out of here.
Oh.
If I had been in Berkeley, listening to him, I would have.
Yeah.
got up and,
I got
what,
nothing out of it.
how about when I explain?
Somewhat, but I think we have to take the subject over again. Because I like to hear speakers. But speakers also have to raise the flame up on for us to like it.
And understand
So-
it,
Yeah,
grasp
he
it.
was too,
Oh, specific. It was too Pacific.
no, he was too,
He
Wacko.
didn't seem to know how to
Yes,
explain what
he was
trying to
very-
explain.
He didn't
Yeah.
know how to explain?
Well,
he
it
was
seemed
so-
like he-
Oh, boy, well, so we have different perceptions.
but the whole thing is, none of us liked it, none of us got it. He
And that's
just wasn't
important.
the speaker.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
I'm
Back to
sure you-
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah. No, I think the subject could be probably given in a better content and easier to understand. He just wasn't a good speaker for me. And this is the first one, Gina.
What, the first time?
The first presentation that you give that I don't care for, that I don't feel like
Even when I spoke and tried to
No, when you
explain?
get, no,
Oh,
no.
you mean the
we're talking
presentation?
about
Oh,
it.
Well, I try to do my best.
Oh, I know you
It's
do.
amazing, I mean, I'm surprised, I have to go back to the drawing board and why am I so off in not realizing that this is,
Could it have just been too over our heads?
can't be, it can't be.